guys. James and Trisha, I'm super excited to have you guys on the team. And I guess I'm just reminded of those cards, and I would like you to have cards. I would like you to be recognized in that way. All right. So now that I'm done with that, I'm all done with that. I just had to process it, James. I just had to say it out of my heart. It had to speak.
We appreciate it. Yeah.
We do appreciate it.
Yeah. Like it's not, once again, it's just, you have to take some things to where it is. And I think the one thing that I told Trish was like, no, I'm at the point of I've got enough experience being leadership to also appreciate the point of being brand new. And that's what I gave it. If you understand, I understand, me walking you through the points of, no, I understand that I don't know anything. I'm excited to be here. And I understand that it's going to be more so directing as people coach you up because you don't know. You want to work up to that level of just autonomy when they say, hey, look, go out there, do great things, come back and tell us what you're doing, which is the point that I feel like we're at now.
Yeah,
so
very much so.
It's a beautiful thing to work through those progressions. So when we talk about it, it's literally just having a bunch of years of life to look back and to see, and to lean on experience. That's what my year beginning here has been, of just being able to see and be proud of what they're accomplishing here. Some amazing women working here, and I'm glad that you're here because it was. What? No, that's been my whole year. When I'm not doing this, I'm a massage therapist. So that's a very female-dominated industry.
Profession, yeah.
I understand it, but in understanding being in that minority, and then once again being in the minority as being a male, there's something that comes to it as you come into whatever job or job site or just community. You gotta, have those things that you see and you just give honor to. But my time being here and knowing today I'm 52. And knowing that everybody else is my kid's age. That is... You're my kid's age. You're so adorable. Oh my God. You're doing great things. It's just a beautiful thing to kind of have the mind to be able to sit back and enjoy it and see the process. And that's what I've more so leaned on than anything else. Literally seeing somebody else go through the process of developing leadership, developing programs, seeing what needs to happen within the day. And then also being able to say, hey, nobody knows that you're here. So at the point in time that I'm saying it, I'm literally saying it out loud to everybody, but also 20 plus years of military career in the Coast Guard says, you don't only bring problems, you bring solutions. So it might be a problem, but there's always a solution because those plus years of military experience just says, hey, if you're going to be always ready, this is how you do that. You ain't just bringing a problem to me. You also thought about it and you put a solution in front of me. My solution was, hey, if you don't know that we're here, let's do everything to put a spotlight on us. And let's just go out here and be supportive, because I felt from my point of view of the Health Education Center, no, I want to educate you about your health so you can then go out here and make this the best community ever.
Right. Thank you. But Trish, we don't have to start in the middle, right?
Good Lord. Sorry.
Let's go. Let's. I think the segue, right? The most easy segue is to say, tell me about young Trish. What brought young Trish to this work, and maybe called you to create what you did for those folks in Providence?
Yeah. So young Trish,
Mm-hmm.
wowzers. Young Trish was a
Younger
definitely,
Trish is what I.
Yeah.
Did I leave the out?
You did. That's okay.
I get what
but
you're
it
saying.
does start with young Trish.
Yeah, sure.
Like young teenage Trish, who was the raging rebel, you know, struggled tremendously in school, was labeled the bad seed, the bad kid, expelled from public school, had to go to a alternative school, didn't actually do well there either. But really it was like years and years of struggle. It was learning disabilities that were not diagnosed as a kid.
Yeah.
They didn't think girls had ADHD when I was growing up. It just wasn't a thing. My brother was diagnosed, got the help he needed. I was just a bad kid.
Oh, wow.
So I found my way in the world, and I made in personal training.
Mm-hmm.
I made a great business career doing that for years. I started working with teens in that aspect, personal training. And then I had a personal training client, an adult, a woman. I was like a kickbox instructor, like did all those kinds of things. And she came to me one day and was like, "You're more than just a personal trainer. Like, you are helping people. So will you come take this trauma-informed mind-body program and get certified to be a facilitator for this?"
Fantastic.
So I said, sure. I got a scholarship from a wonderful woman who paid for all of my training, paid for me to go out to Massachusetts and stay there for weeks at a time to get this training. And what I learned in that training was that I had so much trauma that I needed to work on. And through that, I healed a lot of my own trauma and a lot of the learning disabilities that I had. Before going through that, I couldn't even comprehend. Like, I would read a book, but I couldn't comprehend or retain the information.
Okay.
And through that training, and it was a lot of mindfulness-based stuff, I started realizing that I could read, I could comprehend. This stuff did make sense. Right. So when it came to my final exam, that you have to take your exam to pass the licensing, I was like, they give you, you can take it whenever you want. And I was like, I want to take it right this second. Like, give me the exam, let me take it. And I did great. And it was like, it opened so much for me to be like, oh my gosh, if I had this information, if I had learned these things, like, of course I'm sitting in front of a test when I'm 15, 16 years old, and no matter how much I study, it's blank in front of me.
Right.
Because I'm having test anxiety, but no one's teaching me what to do with that, how to manage that, how to help myself in that moment. So when I learned all of these body-based tools to use, it opened up a whole new world for me, and I started seeing myself very differently. And so I took everything that I learned through that program, and then the same woman who gave me the scholarship for that also gave me a scholarship to mindfulness for schools. So I took that, and I took both of those things that I learned, and I created a program.
Yep.
And I went out to Providence, and I presented it to the Met High School, and David Grace, amazing man, he was like, I love it. Let's bring it here.
Wow.
And so I taught it for 2 years there in their after-school program. Helped a lot of kids. Kids, they need this.
Yeah.
And we need to be teaching kids how to use their body to help them in the moment. And no one's teaching that. Well, they are in mindfulness, right? Because that's what we're teaching people in mindfulness.
But too few folks.
Too few folks, right. So I did that, and at the same time, I actually worked for a residential treatment facility that deals with children who have been severely traumatized and abused. I worked for them for a few years. I worked in their school, actually, also. So I worked in the residential program, but also in their school program. And in the school program, I brought the same kind of ideas I remember the first time that I got the whole middle school class to meditate after lunch, and all of the teachers in the school were like, I have never seen anything like this before. Like, these kids are actually quiet.
Yeah.
They're actually doing it.
Hmm.
So it was just like more proof to me that like kids need this. And if you can give it to them in a way that they can receive it, they will receive it and they will use it. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then I got hurt at work. So I was out of work for like 2 years, 2.5 years actually. And when it was time to go back to work, I was like in a new state now. So I was like,
Right.
And my life is very different now because of the injury. So a lot of the things that I used to do, like personal training and all of that, didn't feel available to me anymore. So I went through like a lot of like looking in myself and like, what do I really want to do? And then I saw the opportunity for AmeriCorps, for the Healthy Minds Alliance, and I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then I came to the Health Education Center, and besides QPR, it gives me the opportunity to put my program out there, and like I just started at the Griswold Youth Center, 2 afternoons a week, working with those kids, and hopefully I'll be able to get it out to more kids. I'm doing a trauma-informed, mindfulness-based stress reduction workshop for the Otis Library in October.
Excellent.
So I'm just really excited about getting these simple tools that we all have in us out there so that people know that we have these and we can use them. Like, our bodies are these beautiful things, these beautiful machines, if we want to call it that have everything in them to like help us. We just need to learn how to use it.
That's fantastic. And I like what you said earlier in presenting something to, it was children in this case, but to anyone, in a way in which they can receive it.
Yeah.
And I that's just so critical. When I think about all the times and ways that I thought I was giving a gift that someone would readily accept, and it was resisted for whatever reason, right? Having an understanding of their experience of receiving and all of the packaging around that, right? Who it's coming from, the scenario, the timing, all of that. That's a really critical point.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm very honest with the kids that I work with about what my life was like and what my struggles were.
Yeah.
And you know, how I got to where I am today. Because if I'm not honest with them and I just am like, you know, I just know this stuff, it doesn't mean anything to them. But when I can say to them, like, I know what it's like to be kicked out of class.
Right.
I know what it's like to sit at a table and have a whole table of adults say that you're a bad seed and they can't help you.
Yeah. Yeah. My experience with kids is they're bullshit detectors, right?
Oh, yeah.
They don't give a lick what your words are. They read your heart. And it's, you know, I think that your authenticity, your ability to be genuine and sort of candid about your experiences really deepens that relationship. So
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Younger James.
Ah,
Younger James.
younger James, how young?
As young as you want to start. As young as you like.
Wait, what would you like to know?
Well, in particular, you know, you mentioned a little bit about your military experience, but I would say that's, you know, it's just part of your journey.
Yeah.
But what eventually and maybe through that brought you to this work? And you know, you're a massage therapist, you've got your own enterprise, and how does that integrate into the connected James that we see every day?
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna say, like, literally just growing up poor in North Carolina brings me to this point. I want to say, as we learned about the history of the Health Education Center, there was those things popping up, those centers popping up right when I'm born. Like, so the Health Education Center started in the 70s.
Yeah.
These places have always been around. And for me, the experience was surreal. to hear about it, because at the end, or literally at the beginning of, I would say, education, to where I'm getting ready to go off to college. I go into college for a couple of years before I joined the military. My whole goal was always to be a teacher. So as I go in, it's like, and I look back, oh, I did exactly what I wanted to do. Like, through my military career, that's what I was. Like, I'm teaching people what to do and how to bring people to the point where I'm at. And I feel like that's what it is. I want to give you everything I got. So if I drop off, my knowledge doesn't drop off.
Right.
I've already transported this to somebody else. So, yeah. Just knowing that there's been those people that have reached back and literally took of their time to give to me. And I always tell it to any kid that I take my time, no, this was done for me. Like, this has always already been paid for. I just ask that when you get the moment, when it's your turn, you turn around and you help out.
Right.
Because that is one of those things that's missing. Like, we're not turning around and pouring back into our education system. When you look at COVID and people are like, oh, education got worse. That's because the parents all of a sudden have this dependency on teachers. Right. And it should never be that way. It should always be partnership. Yeah. Like, you're teaching my kid, what can I do to make you better? And we get right here to today. So I feel like all of those things that I wanted to do, I've been able to do. I get here and it's like almost 22 years of experience. I come in, I come out, I retire. Now I'm looking for work. And I got all this experience. But can I go and teach at a school? Nope. Can I go and, do A, B, and C that I see needs to be done? And it was like a no. It was like, we need to see a college degree. We need to see this. We need to see that. And I'm like, well, but I got this 20 plus years of military experience. Yeah. Does that count for anything? I swear to God that I ran a couple of look at me, the top of the Coast Guard dining facility, not bottom, right? And not one or two times, no. I got consecutive chips. Like, I'm proud of that. Sure. And I have that experience to come and bring it and say, hey, let me do this nutrition class where you can't talk about that because you don't have a certain, but I got experience. So for me, it was using this platform to say, all right, here I am at the Health Education Center, and they're giving me a chance to do everything that I wanted to do. Right. 10 years ago when I retired. Yeah. But they gave me the platform, and the scholarship that I got came from here. Hey, look, we're going to teach you. We're going to pay for you to be a community health worker. I'm 527. I'm ever so proud of that number. 527 lets me know maybe how many community health workers there are. I just know 527 is mine. So if you say, hey, where are you at? 527, that's my community health work. That's the thing that I rock with, because all of that is the accumulation of all of my knowledge, and I can put it out at this venue. Like, what do you need? You want to talk about health, wellness? You want to talk about breathing exercises? You want to talk about how to make a healthy meal? You want to talk about how to lead, what should you look for when you're being led? It's all these little things that now, under the umbrella of the Health Education Center, here you go. Right. James, you're healed. You don't have to sit there and curse at people and say, doggone, I got this experience. I just want to give it to you. I just want to. Nah, I'm in the game. Yep. That's it. I'm off the bench. And it's a beautiful thing. Absolutely. Like, oh no, what James, go. Like, And I'll say this last thing is like, I put out a long list of just things where I'm doing out in the community, from just healthy walks to yoga classes to dance classes.
Mm-hmm.
These are all things that I've been doing out in the community. Like, you can look back and just in Norwich, in the Rose City, it's just all these beautiful cultures that if we could just get these people to come together and just be, it'd be beautiful. But I also know everybody's not talking to everybody.
Right.
So it's been, hey, they're doing this over here. They're doing this over here. And I feel like now we're at that point of just connecting people, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I think I say all that to say I'm just happy to be here and be able to, like, be of service again. That's it. Like, I love helping people. That's my baseline.
Mm-hmm.
I've been that kid all my life. Like, I'm the one that you'll never be able to bully anybody around me. Because either you're going to beat 2 people down or you're going to get beat down.
Right.
But you're not going to do this around me. Like, that's it. And that shows in my military career. That goes from the Coast Guard of, honoring those words of Semper Paratus, being always ready. Hey, what's the next thing you need to do? What's that next thing you need to be ready? And it's like, let me take this knowledge, and to be ready, let me use everything that I know to support those people out in the community. And more so, the people that are doing the work that I do, those community health workers that are going to that point of being exhausted and tired. And it's like, no, like, we can provide education, but we can also provide a source of relaxation as well through the education. It's what Trish is talking about. It's being natural and saying, no, like, we know if you do these things, you can calm down, these deep breathing exercises. It's just leaning into it and being natural. It being a second part, not, I don't know if this is going to help. No, we know it's going to help. Like, it's just us. It's like going through those life situations of, I know this will help you because I was right where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is a whole lot of me. You guys get
That's
me to talk.
fantastic. I feel like we're getting plenty of both of you, but we will pass it back to Tony.
I feel like Trish isn't saying anything. I was like, hold up. It's a whole lot of me talking.
Well, so let's then get into the places where folks can engage with you. Like, what are the programs that you have going on right now? What do you want to invite people to? And if you guys are game for it, I'll talk a little bit about what you see could be created, right? Where else you feel you could create value in the community.
So I
open
would
to
say
that.
Trish is like starting out, and her age range is right there with the kids. Where I would say my programs and stuff is trying to reach more so, that young adult and up.
Right.
And I
Early
feel
career.
like, yeah. And it's literally, no, my programming is 11:30. What do we do? 11:30 and 12, we do a walk. Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's core coffee and cardio. So literally, it's a free workout. You come down to literally, I'm sitting there at the door until about 6:50, drinking coffee, waiting for people to show up and let people in. And then 7 o'clock until about 7:30, we got a nice little cardio, and then it's a cool down. We're done by 7:45, sometimes 8 o'clock, depending on what type of foolishness is going on. But it's a small group right now, and I feel like it's those moments during where you get together and talk. The same thing goes on Friday, where it's in the morning, 10 o'clock, there's a yoga class. And I feel like today we literally sat down, went through like half hour just stretching and talking about today's events. Like, it wasn't anything so formal where, down dog. No, it's we're sitting in Butterfly and all right, we're having a conversation about, and not talking about work, but we're talking about what needs to be done, what's coming up, like just special interests. And I feel like that is one of those missed parts where, hey, we're kind of getting a nice little stretch session in, but there's also a bigger release because I'm sitting here sharing with you what's going on about my day or what I'm getting ready to do. So it's all those things just combined. It's, hey, this is out and readily available in your community. And why? Because it's needed. You know, as people are getting close to this election cycle, it's just needed. That's it. Like, I don't want to even say, like, the stressors are the stressors, and stressors come at every point in life. So the education has to also be, hey, look, we're pointing to the educations and the stress, but we're also, here's what you do about those things.
Right. So I want to put those two, Tuesday, Thursdays, and then Fridays in a neat little package. Those are the days. On Tuesday, Thursdays, where do you meet?
Tuesday, Thursday, Foundry 66, 66 Franklin Street. Fridays are just one block down, not even one block, one building, not even, I don't know if you call it, it's one door. Let's say one door down at 48 Franklin Street. Upstairs is where yoga, and then tonight, 7 to 9, every Friday, salsa.
Right.
Chicago Step and Copa. Like, once again, this is the workshop that I've been doing here now for a couple of years. So a couple of years ago, it was like, oh, let me do this grant work. Let me see how this goes. So I put a grant together for the work and just paid for the space and invited people to come out. I felt like, oh,
that's nice.
This was great. And I'm looking forward to, all right, just putting it together again and seeing what grant money I can get to continue to run and do bigger and better things with, you know, just being in a dance community. Because they say, hey, nobody's not getting paid for this, but I feel like if you can generate a little money and build your community from it,
right?
Like, no, all this goes right back into just making Norwich great. Like, I don't want to travel here, there, and everywhere. I want it right where I live. So if I want it right where I live, let me do it. Let me bring it here. Let me invite people.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should have a conversation with Rainey at town hall, and because she's got up to $2,000 for people to take educational experiences. So if that helps with the sustainability of programming like y'all offer, I think it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're using that for folks who want to do the CHW through Three Rivers, right? That's $2,000 to help them toward the $2,500 expense of the CHW certification. And so I don't see any reason why people who are, you know, not using the funds for that, they're doing it for something else. You know, want to improve their relationships, improve their ability to, you know, or even just get back in touch with their bodies, like you were talking about, Trish. You know, getting in touch with these beautiful gifts. So, machines is what gift is what came to mind for me. But you said
it is a gift. Actually.
It is a gift. I fully agree with you. Nice, Tricia. What are the programs that you're involved in, and where can people find you and be a part of it?
Well, right now I'm doing the youth program at Griswold, and actually, so they do have to be a resident. The youth have to be a resident of Griswold.
Okay.
But they don't have to be go to the youth center. They can sign up on the website, the Griswold Parks and Rec website. They just have to put their information in there, and then they can come to my group. But they don't have to actually sign up to be at the youth center.
Okay.
So there's that, and the library is a closed training because it's for their staff, specifically for their staff. But anybody can reach out to the Health Education Center, and I can come do a program there. I'm also a certified holistic health coach. So I coach people in holistic ways of taking care of themselves and their families, and do a lot of work on like why it's important to them, right? Because it might be important to me for one reason, but that's not the same reason for everybody.
Right.
So helping people like dig underneath stuff and figure out why it's important. Like a diabetic who goes to the doctors and the doctor says, oh, you have to follow this specific meal plan.
Right.
Not everybody's going to walk out of the doctors and follow that specific
Talk on
meal
it,
plan.
Trish. Yeah, and I forget that we are coaches. Like,
Yeah.
Like, that's what we do. Like, we're both, like, I felt like when we both came in, it was like, you're a personal trainer, I'm a personal trainer. Like, we just found all these things that we were like, just, you know, so it's, but when I sit here and listen to somebody say, it's like, oh yeah, we do that stuff. It's like, like, and I do feel like I want to see those groups of people come together and be like, hey, come on. Hey, you want to be better? Because we do that. Can help you.
Yeah.
We can talk about those macros.
Well, and it just needs to not be as much of a secret. You know? We just got to get the word out, and that's what this video is about. That's what we're doing here. So I really appreciate your time. If you're good to keep going, I just want to ask, like, what do you see out there that needs to happen? What is missing that you would like to be a part of? Let me put it in that frame.
Oh, I see a lot.
Tell me.
Well, I feel like the things that I offer in the program would be excellent for parents.
You mean the youth program?
Yes.
I've been saying this for years. They started doing SEL in the schools, and I'm like, yes, but where's the corollary for parents?
Yes.
Right? Just the same way with core math and sort of core education. There's no way, if I didn't grow up in a core education system, right? So how am I supposed to support my kids in learning X and Y and Z when I don't, what do you mean we're separating the ones and the tens in math when we're doing multiplication?
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't do it like that. I wouldn't instruct it like that, and I wouldn't know to do that without the support. The same thing with the SEL.
Yes.
Right?
And
now my kids are getting SEL. I want to be able to reinforce that at home.
Right. And when you take it from a trauma-informed perspective and understand that everybody is where they are today and the people that you see today from all of the experiences that they had in their life that brought them to this point, as a parent, when I could see how I got from here to here and how all of my experiences were informing my parenting, the way I parented my children, I was able to look at things a lot differently. So I'll just give you a super quick example. My son, when he was about 15, his friends started getting their licenses.
Yeah.
He came to me one day and said, he might have actually been like closer to 16, but anyways, he came to me and said, so-and-so's gonna pick me up and we're gonna go to the mall. Every single cell in my body put up red flags.
Sure.
Absolutely not. You're not going in the car with your friend. What do you like? All of these things of fear. I was terrified as a parent, right?
Sure.
That of all these things that were going to happen. And instead of reacting from that position, I said to him, let me just take a minute to think about this for a second, and then we can have a conversation about it. And he said, okay. And so I walked myself through some breathing exercises, had a little internal conversation, like, where's the fear coming from? Because Jake is very responsible. His friends are very responsible. You've trusted them up to this point. Yes, this is a scary moment, but am I going to use this moment to build this fortress around my child so nothing in the world could ever hurt him? Or am I going to use it as an opportunity? And I chose to use it as an opportunity, and we had a conversation. I was very honest with him about what was happening within me.
Yeah.
Like, this is what's happening with me in the moment. I'm terrified to let you do this. However, I trust you. I trust your friends. We have a great relationship. I am going to entrust that you and your friends are going to be very careful because you are precious cargo. And he went off with his friend. And we had a really good conversation, and he was safe, and he came home safe. And if I didn't have the tools, that would have gone very differently.
Sure. Right.
And I would not have let him go.
Yeah.
And it would have been a big blow up, right?
Right.
And that would have been because it was being informed from my experiences that I was then bringing in.
Yeah.
So I feel like if parents could understand, things could be a lot different. And a lot of the arguments or like the push and pull that you see, right? Especially when your kids turn to teenagers and they're trying to have their freedom and you don't want to let them have their freedom.
Yeah.
And if you were a wild teenager like me, as a parent, you're terrified that your child is going to be like you.
Yeah. If
you can see that that's what's informing you to make your decisions as a parent, you can step back.
Right. That is just a critical point that I was thinking about when you got into it, right? Is that moment to take a breath.
Yes.
Right? You gave yourself the grace to say, I'm feeling all these things. And my feelings are okay.
Yeah.
But my feelings are not my behaviors.
Right.
And it just, you walked beautifully through that process as you know, as you tell the story of your parenting. How do you reinforce that in folks who don't have the training, who haven't, and this is open, yeah.
But no, I'm going to like freeze the other side of it, because you asked the question, well, what do you see that needs to happen?
Okay.
That right there, that point of literally, I would say the past year of talking with people, and they're saying, hey James, can you come and do this? Or hey James, can you come and mentor my child? And I would be like, I could come and work with your child, but no, your child is gonna come and talk to you.
Right.
Because it's you. If you've got a chubby kid, that kid's not just chubby by himself. I understand I can't talk to this kid about everything that may be the cause of that weight gain without talking to the parent.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that. So when I see where there needs to be like that shift, it's that point of getting that parent educated to the point of where it affects the child.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of people saying, hey, the kids need this, the kids need this. No, it's not the kid. Or rather, yes, the kid needs that.
Right.
But the parent needs it more so the parent knows how to reinforce what's going on with the kid.
Yeah.
And that's what you were saying. Like, no, like, this is crazy. But I need to know how to reinforce this stuff and how to work with my kids with the stuff that you are giving. And I think that conversation of, it's not by yourself. It's not just, and I think I said it before, it's not just all on the parent. It's a partnership. It's fostering that partnership, and it's getting the people the education they need to affect change.
You can't stand a table on two legs.
Yeah.
It's not a student teacher that's going to create an education. It's a student, teacher, and parent or guardian, some person who's looking out for this kid. That's an education that can be built. That's a foundation that an education can be built upon. But if it's just this, it's too tippy.
Yeah.
It's too insecure. And the responsibility, honestly, is falling in the wrong place, where the parent goes, you're the teacher, teach. Okay. But the way that this person sees the world is informed by you.
Yes.
So the way you listen to me is going to inform how this person listens to me.
And if you're yelling at your kid to start their day, now I got to come in and calm down and get your kid to where they can learn something. But I understand this is what's going on in this house, because it's been decades of your parents yelled at you, and then now this is what you do with the kids.
Right.
Meanwhile, your kid comes into this school with this mindset of, number one, this is how they're going to treat the people that they're around. But then number two, because this is how they behave, this is the behavior we get in the classroom. But I just can't go to the kid. I understand you're a little bit part of this too, if not a whole lot of part.
Right.
I think we do have to get to that point of, hey, this is what's going on. We got to get to the point of taking the judgment out of it. Because I feel like that other point of, no, this is it, and now you feel some type of way.
Right.
Let's just not focus on this if we don't need to. Let's focus on more so being problem solvers and then being better going forward.
When I get people really talking about parenting, they can be critical about the way that they were raised. And not critical like I was, but like I wanted to do things differently, and yet they see themselves repeating these patterns, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
These unproductive patterns of maybe raising boys, maybe laying hand on when maybe it wasn't necessary, right? Restricting choices until a certain age. So I think that's real meaty.
Yeah, it's like just
right.
It's right there, and then it's like across the board, you just don't know what's needed. What's like there's just a diverse weave.
Yeah,
I think part of the weaving that happens is that people don't understand how to unweave it. So, even though they want to not do the same things as their parents, they do, because that's literally what they lived.
Oh, it's familiar.
Right?
It's what they know.
It's familiar. It's what they know. It's almost automatic within them.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to undo that so that they can make a different choice.
Right.
And so I think if we can help people understand, James and I were just talking about this morning, if we can help people understand the theory of adaptation, which is that we all adapt to stay connected to our caregivers, and then throughout life that adaptation might look different, right? So we adapt in the beginning to stay connected to our parents, and then we adapt to who we think we need to be to fit into a certain group, right? Or all these other things. And we have to unravel the adaptations. And then we can get back to what we truly are and who we truly are. And then that's in that space is when then you can start to see all of these other things. Like that's how I could see what was happening in that moment with my son. Right. It's almost like I could see it from an outside perspective, and then say to myself, you got to take a minute.
Yeah.
Right? But I had to learn about adaptation and how I had adapted over the years to get to this point, to be able to see it happening in real time. And it's not like it doesn't take a million years to do it. It's just learning and like being vulnerable enough to tap into authenticity.
That's precisely what I'm talking about here is the challenge. So when you're working with a student, right, that I feel like parents are open to being a part of that engagement. Okay, but then where is the time to work one-on-one with that parent? Because they may feel like they can't be candid early on. Like obviously we want to get them to this place where they can be candid around their kid, but help them learn to be candid and address some of their own patterns.
It's also, and I think I don't mind sharing it. Like for me, it was just learning how to be wrong. I'm wrong. Like, and for me, this was probably 2019 where I'm like, oh, this is what's going on. I got you. Like, once upon a time, I felt a certain way, and sometimes, like, Trish, to your point of stopping out of the moment when you're dealing with somebody and just taking a moment to say, okay, because I understand correction comes in a lot of ways. And most times people try to correct you so they look up here and you're down here. So at the point where those times were happening, I stopped feeling whatever way about that correction and took this filling out of whatever. You're going to feel however you're going to feel. But for me, the questions then came, do you need this correction or not? Is this going to make you better?
Yep.
And literally, I feel like when someone's bringing something to you and they say, hey, you were wrong, I think, number one, is this true? Were you wrong in this moment? And is this correction going to make you better? Most times, people stop at, oh, you're telling me that I'm wrong. And it stops right there with an assignment of right or wrong, and never the process of them using the interaction to make themselves better. I choose to just interaction with you, just to be better. Like if you tell me, hey, James, if you did this, I'll listen and think it and consider, because maybe, and you do see something that I will never see because your view is unique, everyone's. So it's like when you have that time and somebody's taking time to share with you, I think that's pretty important.
It is. It's a gift too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
fully agree with you.
it's fully being like just free to be wrong. And it's just human nature not to want to take those assignments of being wrong. But the paradigm has to shift to, hey, listen, and maybe if I'm giving you this correction, somewhere in there, you find that golden thing that makes you that much better, that puts you where you deserve to be.
We were talking earlier in the conversation about judgment. And I think the first judgment obviously is the judgment of self, right? But then the judgment of other people. And it's so often informed. The way I feel and judge myself, the way I'm critical of myself, is directly informs how I'm critical of other people.
Yes.
Right? So if I'm, you're offering me a piece of feedback, James, and I'm just going to look at the wrapping, right? If I'm in judgment, I'm just looking at the wrapping. Well, who's this? He doesn't live my life. I can't be wrong. He doesn't know what's going on, right? It doesn't matter what you said. I'm gonna throw out your perspective out of hand because I'm not okay with myself. I'm not okay with me changing or being wrong. If I appear as though I'm weak or malleable in some way, then that means something. And I can't do that. So I have to appear perfect. I have to appear diamond. And accepting feedback is not a part of my recipe. But until we get those parents to kind of ease up on themselves, maybe away from their kids, it's a process. This is a process.
It is a process.
And I think it's us, maybe creating that space to say, hey, look, this is where we have the conversation.
Right.
Because I don't mind telling anybody, look, I know where my kids are right now. I love them. But they're out there living life. And if you had a conversation with them, they would have everybody has their own perspective of their father, who I am, or what I did in their life. And it's like, this is what it is. And I think you have to give yourself, that perspective of, as I look back, man, I didn't know what was going on. Like, nobody knows. I don't care how many Dr. Spock books you need, like, until you get the baby right there and it's just you and that baby.
Right.
And nobody else, and the baby's crying, and you got to figure it out. You got to figure it out.
Right.
And sometimes experience is just experience.
Yeah.
But it's, once again, being community, knowing that there's other people. You're not going through any of this by yourself. Like, whatever you're going through, I guarantee you 7 other people have gone through the exact same experience and taken it 7 different ways. It's just knowing that you're not by yourself as it happens.
Thank you. See, and I think so much of your work, the weight is on the health and of course your workers, right? I think we can amplify community a bit more.
Yeah.
And so again, that's what these videos are about. And that's what I'm trying to do with the HEC. And I really appreciate your contributions in all ways, including this.
Hey.
What are we missing? Is there anything else you wanted to share? Anything else that didn't get covered?
I think just the next thing. Like, what's the next thing? And it's a bunch of beautiful things getting ready to happen. If I'm going to share one thing, I would plug October. October 25th, we're having a fantasy ball.
What?
And you're invited to come and dress up as who you want to be, and for the couple of hours, stay in that character.
I like this. Where's
Just an adult play day. Look, I'm here already. Hey, look, I'm there. It's a non-alcoholic event from 7 to 9. I'm just saying, hey, look, I'm here teaching a dance class, probably from 7 to 7:30. If you come in there just dressed however you want to dress, hey, here we are. We're taking pictures. I'm going to try to get a couple of local artists to make some backdrops so people can come in, take pictures, post it on the HEC, website, because it's just about, having fun at the end of the day. Like, okay, what's the other part of this job? No, I get to create these fun events. Like, me and Trish have talked about it. It's now, I think we're at the point of, hey, we can do some of this stuff. Sure. Doggone it if the weather's not changing now. But but I feel like October is going to be beautiful. I feel like there's going to be a couple of, I want to build sandcastles. Why can't that be a workshop? What are you doing? We're building sandcastles. I got my bucket right in here. We're going to get a shovel. Come on and join me.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that we can do that I'm excited about. And it's like, no, I don't mind leading this. What are you doing? I'm inviting my community out to be creative. Right. Whether that's playing in paint, building sandcastles, spoken word. I just feel like there's so much.
There's so much. For me, I think the next step is I am right now finishing up a neurodivergent informed mindfulness course so that I can expand my offerings and help more people. I'm pretty neurodivergent myself.
You were mentioning?
Yes. So I felt like the course was perfect. And there's actually a mindful parenting course that I'm going to take following this course. Yeah. So I just really want to be able to offer this stuff to more people. I would love to be able to work with parents and help them to understand this kind of stuff. And if there was a way to have a parent group and work with the kids, I think that would be amazing. So for me, it's really just finding my place in Connecticut because I'm new to Connecticut. So James has been amazing at introducing me to a million people. So I'm very grateful for that. The Health Education Center has given me the opportunity to meet tons of people. I also did get my CHW certification, and I'm in the process of getting my license. So I'm excited about that. Awesome. And just really...
It's going to be in the mail next week.
Hopefully, just really putting more offerings out there. I did do a trauma-informed training for the CHW class. So I was excited about that. And we did talk about adaptation and what that looks like.
Great.
So really just getting all of that out to more people is really where I want to go.
Fantastic. I can't wait. We're going to build something.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. Let's go.
We got something. We're just going to build on it.
Yeah.
Right on. You know what? You bring up this thing. You're essentially scratching your own itch, right? Mm-hmm. You're serving the pain. You're creating something that you wished you had
yes.
in childhood, and it's just neon vivid in what you're creating your neurodivergent class there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I was working with this kid one time, and he was really having a really, really bad day. And we went to the park and we were climbing trees and we were talking, and I was like, hey, can I teach you this breathing? And he was like, all right. And so I taught him a breathing technique. And he said to me after, this is magic. And I said, that's how I felt. And he said, people have been telling me to calm down my whole life, but nobody has actually helped me to figure out how. And I think this is going to work.
Yeah.
And I was like, Yes.
That's it.
You just need one. Like one
Yes.
just makes you feel
Yes.
better, and then
Yes.
you can lean on that one. Now I got one.
I got
you don't,
one.
If you don't listen to me,
got one.
I know I got one, and I'll stand on that one. Maybe
Yes.
that's it. Maybe that's what I'm. Maybe
It's one. And
I'll chase after everybody else, but I know I got one.
I have a lot of things at home that remind me of those kids
Yeah.
that I have had that impact on for the times where I feel like, am I doing the right thing?
Sure.
You know, because this isn't really a super easy path to be carving.
Sure.
Um,
Oh, it's not paved.
It's not paved.
it's
and
not bushwhacked.
like James mentioned, a lot of people look for the degrees.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
where is your degree in this?
Mhm.
And so it's not an easy path. And so when I have those feelings like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
Mhm.
And then I look at all the things that I have from these kids that I've had an impact on. And
Right.
I'm like, absolutely, no matter how hard this is my path that I'm supposed to be doing it. Like, I went through all of that stuff for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to be here. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to feel very supported in what I'm doing.
Thank you. This
Thank
has
you.
been wonderful.
You
We'll
rock,
do
Trish.
this again if that's all right.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great. All of my fears just
And-
melted right away.
And you didn't have a